have raised a tremendous amount of money for the vets, almost $6 million, and more money is going to come in, I believe, over the next little while, too. But I've raised almost $6 million. All of the money has been paid out. So the Second Amendment is under a threat like never before. Crooked Hillary Clinton is the most anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment candidate ever to run for office. And as I said before, she wants to abolish the Second Amendment. She wants to take your guns away. She wants to abolish. Just remember that.
Married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics.
In the last 3 polls, I'm beating you. So, you shouldn't misrepresent how well you're doing with the polls. You don't have to say that. In fact, I was all for you until you started doing that, because that's a misrepresentation. Number one. Number two, this isn't me saying it. I don't care. I think I'm going to win fair and square. I don't have to win this way. Thank you. Lawrence Tribe and numerous from Harvard, said that there is a serious question as to whether or not Ted can do this, okay? There are other attorneys that feel, and very, very fine constitutional attorneys, that feel that because he was not born on the land, he cannot run for office. The entire early portion of the debate was Trump this, Trump that, in order to get ratings,
Mr. Trump, it's not CNN.
To get ratings,
Mr. Trump, I was on CNN last night watching.
Excuse me. I think it's very unprofessional.
But it was.
Her husband signed NAFTA. True. Maybe the worst economic development transaction ever signed in the history of our country. It cleaned out our manufacturing. I mean, I just won so many states, and I got to see these states. I went all over the different states in Pennsylvania, New York, all over the place. And I got to see what NAFTA, the havoc that it wreaked. And it's taken our jobs just like we're a bunch of babies, and moved them to other places. Honestly, moved them all over Mexico. I will use this power to protect the American people. When I'm elected, I will suspend immigration from areas of the world where there is a proven history of terrorism against the United States, Europe, or our allies, until we fully understand how to end these threats. After a full... Thank you. And by the way, we have no choice. Hillary last night with, we're going to give this, we're going to give that, we're going to give that. The poor woman, she's got to give everything away because this maniac that was standing on her right is giving everything away, so she's following. That's what's happening. This socialist slash communist, okay? Nobody wants to say it. Thank you. I love you too, man. It's a guy, but I love him. I love him. I love everybody here. I don't care. I don't care. But we have a rigged system. We have a crooked system. I mean, we have a crooked system. But I was in talk about the press, okay? I love talking about how dishonest they are. If you're a Republican, you're a conservative. And I've heard it for years, but I had no idea. And when I was running and bing, 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 knocking out one after another, right? Am I doing a good job for you folks? So,
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. But she was, in my opinion, she was off base.
If we had people where the bullets were going in the opposite direction, right smack between the eyes of this maniac, if some of those wonderful people had guns strapped right here, right to their waist or right to their ankle, and this son of a bitch comes out and starts shooting, and one of the people in that room happened to have it and goes boom, boom. You know what? That would have been a beautiful, beautiful sight, folks. I said about language. 2 days ago, he said, he would take his pants off and moon everybody, and that's fine. Nobody reports that. He gets up and says that, and then he tells me, oh, my language was a little bit rough.
Okay.
My language.
Governor Casey.
China, big Chinese company, bought the Chicago Exchange. Carrier is moving, and if you saw the people, because they have a video of the announcement that Carrier is moving to Mexico, okay? Well, I'll tell you what. I would go right now to Carrier, and I would say, I am going to work awfully hard. You're going to make air conditioners now in Mexico. You're going to get all of these 1,400 people that are being laid off. They're laid off. They were crying. It was a very sad situation. You're going to go to Mexico. You're going to make air conditioners in Mexico. You're going to put them across our border with no tax. I'm going to tell them right now, I am going to get consensus from Congress, and we're going to tax you when those air conditioners come. So stay where you are or build in the United States, because we are killing ourselves with trade pacts that are no good for us and no good for our workers. Here is a quote from the book. At the center of U.S. policy toward China was Hillary Clinton. At this critical time for U.S.-China relations, Bill Clinton gave her a number of speeches that were underwritten by the Chinese government and its supporters. These funds were paid to the Clintons' bank account directly, while Hillary was negotiating with China on behalf of the United States. Tell me, folks, does that work? Anything nuclear, if you can make good deals on nuclear, that's a good thing, I have to say. I'm all for deals. But they got to be good deals, not bad deals. We make bad deals. We don't have anybody to make good deals. We don't have people that are smart. We don't have deal makers. We have political... I won't say it. I won't say it because I'll get in trouble. You know, when I use a slightly off word, slightly off, when I call this really bad senator, she's done nothing. She's done nothing. She said she's Native American. And I said, Pocahontas. It's Pocahontas. And somebody said to me, one of the media, Mr. Trump, would you apologize? I said, yes, I'll apologize. To Pocahontas, I will apologize.
Corey Lewandowski, he's out. What happened?
He's a good man. We've had great success. You know, I got more primary votes than anybody in the history of the Republican Party by a tremendous amount, not by a little bit. I think Corey's terrific. I watched him before. He was terrific toward me. Said I was a talented person, and he's a talented person. He's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. But I think it's time now for a different kind of a campaign. Well, let me just, you know, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. Well, I'm very glad that Ted mentioned Arizona, because probably the toughest man on borders is Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And 2 days ago, he totally endorsed me. So thank you. I see Rick Perry the other day, and he's so, you know, he's doing very poorly in the polls. He put glasses on so people will think he's smart. And it just doesn't work. There's the man. Stand right over here. My God. If we can make a good deal on the salary, she's going to probably have a job, okay? All right, good. I just learned that Crooked Hillary, along with her friend, you know, she's got this goofy friend named Elizabeth Warren. She's on her Twitter rant. She's a goofus. She is a goofus. So, Elizabeth, you ever see her? I mean, this woman... She's a basket case. By the way, she's done nothing in the United States Senate. She's done nothing. I'd love to run against her if I came from Massachusetts. You know, I did great in Massachusetts. I won Massachusetts with almost 50% of the vote. Now, it helped, in all fairness, that Tom Brady likes me, right? That helped, okay? It was amazing because there were moments with the gorilla, the way he held that child. It was almost like a mother holding a baby. Looked so beautiful and calm. And there were moments where it looked pretty dangerous. I don't think they had a choice. We're sending groups that never had money, 100,000, 200,000, in one case 1.1 million, in another case 250, 75,000, 50,000, all of these groups, I don't know, 30-something groups. It was so beautiful to see. You, all of us, we have received accolades. And I say all of us Because this is a movement, folks. This is not like a normal situation. Look at this room. Look at the size of this room. And there are thousands of people, and I got wiped out getting off the plane. It was raining and windy, and I want to tell you, it's actually beautiful. Beautiful. And now you know it's my hair, because any hair that could withstand that wind.
Well, I also happen to call him a lightweight, okay, and I have said that, so I would like to take that back. He's really not that much of a lightweight. And as far as, and I have to say this, he hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
You know, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this, right prior to his being shot? And nobody even brings it up. I mean, they don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it. But I think it's horrible. I think it's absolutely horrible that a man can go and do that, what he's saying there.
It's been an amazing state to me. And I learned a lot. I learned about the heroin pouring in, and I said, no way. You look at these beautiful trees and these beautiful streams and lakes and everything else. I said, this is not heroin country. It is heroin country. And it's coming from the southern border, much of it. And we're going to take care of it. And I told the people of New Hampshire, if I win, we're going to build a wall. We're going to have an amazing border. People are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. And we're going to do a real job. Thank you for joining me today. This was going to be a speech on Hillary Clinton and all of the bad things, and we all know what's going on, and especially how poor she'd do as president in these very, very troubled times of radical Islamic terrorism. Even her former Secret Service agent, who's seen her under pressure and in times of stress, has stated that she lacks the temperament and integrity to be our president. There will be plenty of opportunity to discuss these important issues at a later time. Well, you know, in the primaries, we won West Virginia by like 25 points. It was a wipeout. I think I just saw a poll that we're 25 or 28 up. So I may never go back to West Virginia. What do I need? I mean, give me a break. No, I'll be back. I just left West Virginia. Some great people, Bob Murray. And I left a lot of miners. And a lot of miners that Hillary Clinton said she's going to put out of business with the mines. Not going to happen. These are amazing people, and it's not going to happen. Remember her statement a few months ago, right? In fact, we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business, okay? Forget it. And she's talking about steel companies, and she's talking about plenty of other companies, too, because ultimately, that's what is going to happen. Well, first of all, self-deportation is people are going to leave as soon as they see others going out. If you look at Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s, they started moving people out, and the rest of them left. Self-deportation, as I really define it, and that's the way I define it, is you're going to get some to go, and the rest are going to go out. As far as the people that I've hired in various parts of Florida during the absolute prime season, like Palm Beach and other locations, you could not get help. It's the up season. People didn't want to have part-time jobs. They were part-time jobs, very seasonal, 90-day jobs, 120-day jobs, and you couldn't get. Everybody agrees with me on that. Well, let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3. So far I'm doing better. Her campaign slogan is, I'm with her. You know what my response is to that? I'm with you, the American people. I want to thank everybody. You know, I worked in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had a job with my father. It came and it was very successful, very, very early in my career. It gave me a lot of confidence. And if I didn't have that confidence, who knew? Maybe I wouldn't be here with you tonight, believe me.
So my question is, how would intentionally killing innocent civilians set us apart from ISIS?
Mr. Trump. We have to be much tougher. We have to be much stronger than we've been. We have people that know what's going on. You take a look at just the attack in California the other day. There were numerous people, including the mother, that knew what was going on. They saw pipe bombs sitting all over the floor. They saw ammunition all over the place. They knew exactly what was going on. When you had the World Trade Center go, people were put into planes that were friends, family, girlfriends, and they were put into planes, and they were sent back, for the most part, to Saudi Arabia. They knew what was going on. They went home, and they wanted to watch their boyfriends on television. I would be very, very firm with families. And frankly, that will make people think, because they may not care much about their lives, but they do care, believe it or not, about their families' lives.
Donald.
This little guy has lied so much about my record.
Here we go. The person.
He has lied so much about my record.
Mr. Rubio, Senator Rubio, why don't you let him?
And I will tell you this. First of all, I got a call from my sister and brother tonight, and they said, we had no idea Dad gave you $200 million. Believe me, I started off with $1 million. I built a company that's worth more than $10 billion. And I say it not in a bragging way, but that's the kind of thinking we need. Very low debt, tremendous cash flow. My financials they're all in there with the federal elections. You've seen them. Everybody's seen them. I say it only because that's the kind of thinking this country needs with $19 trillion in debt. Believe me.
He is lying, Ted. You know, I came up with the idea, but you have to spell it right. It's L-Y-I-N apostrophe, Lion Ted. The Bible held high. He puts it down and then he lies.
So I see that it's up to us, the people, we the people. We get to decide what to buy. And if we have a cultural preference for purchasing the American-made manufactured product, then what that will do is it will create demand for American products.
Well, you're right. And let me just tell you, it's a good point, because in Japan and in China, they really want to buy products made in Japan and in China, whereas the United States, we buy anything. And our people should have more pride in buying made in the USA. Remember the old days? We had made in America or made in the USA. And we should put that on. I think I'm going to do that. We should put that on our product. Made in the USA.
Look at that. Mexicans for Trump. Mexicans for Trump. I love it. I love it. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That's cool, man.
Democrats. Ooh, there was a mosquito. I don't want mosquitoes around me. I don't like mosquitoes. I don't like those mosquitoes. I never did. Okay, speaking of mosquitoes. Hello, Hillary. How are you doing? I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. You know, when I came out, I heard the end of Bernie's speech, and I heard some of the beginning. No. First of all, congratulations to Bernie. In all fairness, we have to congratulate him. We may not like it, but I heard parts of Bernie's speech. He wants to give away our country, folks. He wants to give away. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. I don't know where it's going with Bernie. We wish him a lot of luck. Hillary Clinton, they just came out with a book. A Secret Service agent was with her for a long time. Said she's a total mess. A mess. She's not qualified to be president. You know who said that? Bernie Sanders said that Hillary Clinton is not qualified to be president. And he said it because she has bad judgment. And she does have bad judgment. Look at the mess that she's got us into with Syria, everything she touches. And you're going to have 4 more years of that. We won't have a country left, folks. Believe me. We will not have a country left. So Americans use guns to defend themselves against violent crime more than 1 million times a year. Okay, more than 1 million times a year. And they want to take them away. Heartless hypocrites like the Clintons want to take this and they want to get rid of guns, and yet they have bodyguards that have guns. So I think that in addition to calling for them to name judges, we'll also call them and let their bodyguards immediately disarm. Okay? No, they should immediately disarm. And let's see how good they do. Let's see how they feel walking around without their guns on their bodyguards. In the meantime, nobody else can have the guns, right?
Not reported on the financials. What the financials don't show also is your tax rate. They don't show whether you paid a low tax rate or no tax rate.
I fight very hard to pay as little tax as possible, and I've said that for the last 2 years. I fight very hard because this country wastes our money. They take our tax money and they throw it down the drain. They spend $4 trillion in the Middle East, and we can't fix a road or a bridge. And I fight very hard. I consider it an expense because, frankly, our country doesn't know what they're doing with our money or our tax money, and that's part of the problem. So I fight very hard to pay as little tax as possible.
What is your tax rate?
It's none of your business. You'll see it when I release. But
yesterday, we heard the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, at Congress saying that North Korea's nuclear effort is the top threat to the United States. What would you do to deal with that reclusive country?
I would get China to make that guy disappear in one form or another very quickly. And let me tell you, people say,
how do you make him disappear and assassinate him?
Let me just tell you, no, well, you know, I've heard of worse things, frankly. I mean, this guy's a bad dude.
It was not me on the phone, and it doesn't sound like me on the phone, I will tell you that, and it was not me on the phone. And when was this, 25 years ago?
In the early 90s, but
wow,
yeah.
You mean you're going so low as to talk about something that took place 25 years ago about whether or not I made a phone call. I guess you're saying under a presumed name.
Yes, under a presumed name.
Okay, the answer is no.
The other night, now, I always start off, I say, we will repeal and replace Obamacare. We're going to cut Common Core. We're going to bring our education local. We're going to preserve our Second Amendment. You know, everything. Everybody does. So I watched him the other night. Donald Trump absolutely loves Obamacare. I said, what? He's telling this to an audience. Believe me, folks, we're going to repeal it and replace it. Okay. It's a tough situation. But he's largely, to a large extent, he's blaming guns. And I'm going to save your Second Amendment, folks. I said to everybody, because I played very little golf over the last year, believe me, very little, unlike our president who's playing like a PGA Tour schedule. I think he plays more golf than the players on the PGA Tour. Okay. And I watched President Obama today, and he was more angry at me than he was at the shooter. And many people said that.
Millions and millions of women, cervical cancer, breast cancer, are helped by Planned Parenthood. So you can say whatever you want, but they have millions of women going through Planned Parenthood that are helped greatly. And I wouldn't fund it. I would defund it because of the abortion factor.
If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
Very unfair that the press treated us so badly. Go ahead.
To follow up on that, you keep calling us the dishonest press, the disgusting press.
Well, generally speaking, that's 100% true. Go ahead.
I disagree with that, sir. And if I can ask you this question, it seems as though you're resistant to scrutiny, the kind of scrutiny that comes with running for president of the United States.
I like scrutiny, but you know what? When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. When I raise money for the veterans, and it's a massive amount of money, find out how much Hillary Clinton's given to the veterans. Nothing. And then I see a few guys standing out there. They don't even know what they're there for. They have no idea. They're there because Hillary Clinton's campaign sent them. And actually, I think it was you or one of you that found out that they actually were with Hillary Clinton's campaign, which was interesting, but I wasn't surprised. I don't want the credit for it, but I shouldn't be lambasted. And remember this. So out of the almost $6 million that was raised, not one penny did I take for administration costs. That's unheard of. Okay. We're going to be the smart people. We're not going to be the people that get pushed around all over the place. We're going to be the smart people. You're going to be proud of your president, and you're going to be even prouder of your country, okay? Go ahead.
To follow up on that, you keep calling us the dishonest press, the disgusting press.
Well, generally speaking, that's 100% true. Go ahead.
I disagree with that, sir. And if I can ask you this question, it seems as though you're resistant to scrutiny, the kind of scrutiny that comes with running for president of the United States.
I like scrutiny, but you know what? When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees.
He was begging. Think about it. The economy is rigged. The banking system is rigged. There's a lot of things that are rigged in this world of ours. And that's why a lot of you haven't had an effective wage increase in 20 years, folks. And we're going to change it. We're going to change it.
But we can't solve any of these problems by relying on the politicians who created the problems themselves. We'll never be able to fix a rigged system by counting on the same people who have rigged it in the first place.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell's show is a disaster. It's a complete disaster. Now, that upsets me a little bit because I love Oprah. And I'd like to see everything on Oprah be successful. I want her network to be great. But Rosie's show is a complete and total disaster. Lawrence O'Donnell's show is a complete and total disaster. Moved from a coveted spot. Now, even at 10 o'clock, it's a mess. So I have an idea. Maybe Rosie O'Donnell and Lawrence O'Donnell, and they must be related somewhere along the line, they should get together, form a show, and they'll have the lowest rated show of all time. What a good idea.
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls. And how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway.
Matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
Will you start a trade war with Mexico?
Well, you know, I don't mind trade wars when we're losing $58 billion a year. You want to know the truth. We're losing so much. We're losing so much with Mexico and China. With China, we're losing $500 billion a year. And then people say, oh, don't we want to trade? I don't mind trading, but I don't want to lose $500 billion. I don't want to lose $58 billion. Mexico just took Carrier Corporation, maker of air conditioners. They just took Ford. They're building a $2.5 billion plant. They just took Nabisco out of Chicago. And I always say I'm not having Oreos anymore, which is true, by the way. But they just took a big plant from Nabisco into Mexico. They're taking our businesses. I don't mind.
People talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
Jeb is so wrong. You got to fight ISIS first. You fight ISIS first. Right now you have Russia, you have Iran, you have them with Assad, and you have them with Syria. You have to knock out ISIS. They're chopping off heads. These are animals. You have to knock them out. You have to knock them off strong. You decide what to do after. You can't fight two wars at one time. If you listen to him and you listen to some of the folks that I've been listening to, that's why we've been in the Middle East for 15 years and we haven't won anything. We've spent $5 trillion in the Middle East because of thinking like that. I've been a member for a long time, and my boys are members, and they're much better shooters than I am. I'll tell you, they know more about guns than any. I don't know, there might be 2 or 3 people in this room, but believe it or not many. So to get the endorsement, believe me, is a fantastic honor. And I just said to Wayne, and I just said to Chris, I will not let you down. Remember that. I will not let you down. The officials, actually one of the ex-officials from Mexico, had a news conference, and he announced that we will not be paying for the wall. Who does Mr. Trump think he is? They came to me, the press, these people. Look at all those cameras back there. The press came to me, and they told me that he said he would not pay for the wall. Do you have a comment? I said, yes. The wall just got 10 feet taller. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake.
The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
So build a wall. That's all right. Don't worry, we're going to build a wall. Don't worry about it, okay? We're going to build a wall. It's going to be a real wall. Such a low ceiling. Oh, we're going a lot higher than that. And every time they fight us on that wall, it gets 10 feet higher, folks. Believe me. Believe me. No, we're going to stop. We're going to stop the drugs from coming in. You know, just in case you didn't know. So the Border Patrol agents, 16,500 Border Patrol agents endorsed Donald Trump. They know what's going on. They know what's going on. And their job is much easier now than when they're with me. Because when they're with me, they're going to be working hard. Right now, they just stand there and say, oh, go on through. Hello. Go on through. Welcome to the country, right? We'll take care of you for the rest of your lives.
And here's how this plan will make America wealthy again. American energy dominance will be declared a strategic, economic, and foreign policy goal of the United States. It's about time. America has 1.5 times as much oil as the combined proven resource. Listen to this. As the combined proven resources of all OPEC countries. Think of that. We have more natural gas than Russia, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia combined. We have 3 times more coal than Russia. Our total untapped oil and gas reserves on federal lands equal an estimated $50 trillion. Think of that. We're loaded. We didn't even know it. We're loaded. We had no idea how rich we were. We're richer than all of them. We're richer than all of them, folks.
What a crowd. Look at them piling in. Well, look at them. From Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is here tonight. He's got a massive crowd of 3,000 people. And I'm saying, I don't believe it. I have 17,000 people. They don't say it. And by the way, the cameras, they never scan the room. Every time, no, it's true. They never scan the room.
Hey, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.
Clinton, and he should be home working on ISIS, where the threat is getting worse and worse. He should be working on trade. He should be working on